Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Tuesday, May 24th, 2022. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to leave your baseball picks in the comments section below. Now, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at Pickdawgz.com. I'm running a daily $15 MLB best bet, so you can check it out at Pick Dawgz Premium. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Tuesday, May 24th. First up, we go to PNC Park as the Pittsburgh Pirates host the Colorado Rockies. Now, with Kyle Freeland on the mound for Colorado, I do think this is a good spot to take them in. I know they've really struggled on the road as of late, but Kyle Freeland pitches his best baseball on the road. When you look in his last two road starts, he's pitched a combined 11 innings against the Diamondbacks and Phillies. He's only given up one earned run in that stretch with 12 strikeouts and only 3 walks allowed. So, his ERA sure is above 4 it's at 4.85 right now this season, but he's pitched well on the road. I think he's going to have a strong outing in this one against a pretty weak Pirates lineup. I'm going to take the Rockies here on the money line. Not my favorite game to start the day. Next up, we take a look at the Chicago Cubs taking on the Cincinnati Reds. Marcus Stroman and Tyler Mahle are your starters here. Now, I do think Mahle is the better option on the mound in this one. When you look, he's got better strikeout numbers this season. He's also limited more home runs, only giving up .63 home runs per 9, which is really important when pitching at Great American Ballpark. Marcus Stroman, on the other hand, has given up 1.44 home runs per 9 this season, which is really concerning because he is a pitch-to-contact guy. So if you're giving up the long ball as a pitch-to-contact pitcher, probably not going to fare too well. And when you look at his numbers on Baseball Savant, he's in the bottom 9th percentile in average exit velos and bottom 5th percentile in hard hit percentage. So he is susceptible to giving up long balls in this spot, especially at a hitter-friendly park like Great American. So I'm going to take the Reds here on the money line. I think they should be favored in this spot. So give me Cincinnati money line. Next up, we see the Miami Marlins taking on the Tampa Bay Rays as we have a cross-state rivalry this week with the two Florida teams. In this one, we're going to see Pablo Lopez and Shane McClanahan, a pretty solid pitching matchup on our hands in this one. Now, the Rays are pretty sizable favorites, and I do lean towards them on the money line here, but don't think there's a lot of value there. Instead, I'm going to be looking at a team total for this one. I know we haven't taken any team totals this season, but there's certainly bets that I look at. Overall, I think this is a good spot to take the Marlins under the team total of 3 in this one. You look at the Marlins against lefties this year, they have not fared well at all this season. They're ranked 26th in baseball in team OPS against left-handed pitching. They're also the team that strikes out the most against lefties. They have a 30.8% strikeout rate against left-handed pitching, and they're facing a guy that knows how to strike out a few batters, and Shane McClanahan. He's done it all season long. McClanahan had 2.33 ERA. He's second in the league in strikeouts with 65 and 46 in the third innings. He's fourth in the league in a .86 whip. So I think he has a really good outing. I think Pablo Lopez pitches well also, but I do think when the bullpens make their way into this game, I still think the Rays have the advantage. I think they're going to be able to hold the Marlins bats down basically this entire game, and especially when you look at a guy like Jazz Chisholm that just went down with an injury. We don't know if he's going to be playing in this one. It really makes me like the under in the team total even more. So give me the under in the Marlins team total. In our next game, we see the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the Washington Nationals. Walker Buehler and Josiah Gray, a pair of righties, going at it in this one. Now, I do think Josiah Gray is in trouble in this spot as he has had issues with the long ball as of late, and he's facing a pretty powerful lineup in the Dodgers. Dodgers number 1 in baseball in team OPS against right-handed pitching, number 4 in baseball in isolated power against right-handed pitching. This season, Josiah Gray, I've seen promising signs from him. I do think he is going to be a really solid starter in either the Nationals rotation or whatever team he joins, but he still has big issues with the home runs and walks. The walks are not as big of an issue this year, but he's still in the bottom 5th percentile in barrel percentage, and he's going up against a really tough starter as well in Walker Buehler, who, sure, his strikeout numbers are down this year, but he's still pitching well this year overall. 2.89 ERA, 3.16 FIP. He's limiting homers and walks, which is really important. I do think the strikeout numbers are going to eventually show up for him. We've seen him in spots miss a lot of bats, and I think he'll get there soon enough. So give me the Dodgers here on the run line. Try to get a better price with Los Angeles, as they are pretty steep favorites. In our next game, we see the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Atlanta Braves. Kyle Gibson and Max Fried are your projected starters. A pretty good pitching matchup, in my opinion. Now, I do think, I wouldn't be surprised if neither of these starting pitchers decided what the outcome of this game was going to be, but I do think the Braves have the much better bullpen. I also trust their lineup a little more as well. Max Fried has gone up against some of the toughest pitchers in the league this season. We've already seen him go head-to-head with Corbin Burnes twice this year. And although his team wasn't victorious in the last start he pitched in, it really wasn't his fault. The Braves blew a lead, and they also blew a lead in extra innings in that game, and they wound up losing that one 7-6 in extras. But Max Fried has done a good job this season for Atlanta. Kyle Gibson as well for Philadelphia. But like I said, I trust the Braves bullpen more. We've seen Joe Girardi mismanage the Phillies bullpen at times. I do think it's a talented bullpen on paper, but if you mismanage it the way he has, it's really tough to back you late in the late innings. I think the Braves are the better spot here, so give me the Braves on the money line. Next up, we see the Minnesota Twins hosting the Detroit Tigers. Bo Brisky and Sonny Gray are your projected starters. Now, I do think this is a complete pitching mismatch, as I do think Sonny Gray is the much better starter here. Gray, a 3.48 ERA, a 3.19 xFIP this season. Strikeout numbers are up for him this year at 10.89 Ks per nine. You know, he's not a guy that's going to pitch too deep into ball games anymore, but the Twins will hope to get 5 strong innings from him in this one. And he's going up against Bo Brisky, a guy that I've faded quite a bit recently. You know, Bo Brisky hasn't fared too poorly for the Tigers. He is 0-3 with a 5.13 ERA, which isn't the best on paper. I also think there is some even more room for regression when you look at his 5.48 xERA and his 6.67 FIP. He only has 5.13 Ks per nine this season. He's allowing over 2.35 home runs per nine. The walks have also been an issue at times for him. He's facing a very tough Minnesota Twins lineup that's getting hotter and hotter as the season carries on. Now they're up to 11th in the league in team OPS against righties, and they're 14th in the league in isolated power against righties. Bo Brisky, I think, is in trouble in this one. I think Gray gives the Twins the much-needed first few innings. The bullpen takes care of the rest. I'm going to take the Twins here on the run line. Next up, we see the Baltimore Orioles taking on the New York Yankees. Bruce Zimmerman and Jordan Montgomery are your starters, a pair of lefties going at it here. Now, Bruce Zimmerman has pitched well for this Orioles rotation, but I do think there is some regression in his game. A 4.63 expected ERA is a lot higher than his 3.48 ERA. His strikeout numbers are down from last year. The walks are also down, which is a good thing to see, but the Yankees have been really tough against lefties this season, ranked 5th in the league in team OPS against lefties and 2nd in the league in isolated power against lefties. And I'd much rather back the Orioles when A, they're playing at Camden Yards, where they've been really solid as the underdog at home this year, and B, when they're facing a right-handed starter, as they have not had a lot of luck against lefties this season, ranked 28th in baseball in team OPS against lefties and 26th in baseball in isolated power against lefties. Jordan Montgomery has pitched well this season for the Yankees. They haven't always backed him up run support-wise, but still 3.35 ERA and a 3.70 xFIP. Solid numbers for a guy in the middle of the rotation for the Yankees. So give me the Yankees here on the run line. Next up, we see the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, although I've been really impressed with the Cardinals lineup as of late, I haven't necessarily been impressed with their bullpen this season. I do think it's one of the weaker ones in the NL Central this year, and for that reason, I do like the Blue Jays in this spot. You know, Kevin Gausman, although he gives up a lot of base hits, he doesn't give up many walks, he doesn't give up many home runs. 0.54 walks per nine is unreal right now through 50 innings of work, and a 0.18 home runs per nine is even more unreal through, again, 50 innings of work. 10.26 Ks per nine this season, so he's striking out a lot of batters. A 2.52 ERA, but an even better 1.26 FIP this year. He is pitching really well. I know the Blue Jays lineup hasn't always backed him up and the other Blue Jays starters recently as well, but I do think if the Cardinals are going to rely heavily on their bullpen in this game, which it looks like they will, I don't really like their chances. So give me the Blue Jays here on the money line. Next up, we see the Boston Red Sox taking on the Chicago White Sox. Nick Pivetta and Dylan Cease on the mound for this one. Now, this is an interesting game to me, as Nick Pivetta is on the mound for the Red Sox, and I've criticized him a lot in the beginning of the season, but you know, you got to look at what he's done recently. He's pitched 22 innings in his last 3 starts. He's only given up 2 earned runs with 20 strikeouts and only 1 walk allowed. He is pitching he's been one of the hottest pitchers in baseball, coming off a complete game 1-run performance with 8 Ks against the Houston Astros, no less, one of the best lineups against righties this year. Now he's taking on a White Sox team that hasn't had a lot of luck against righties this season. They're ranked 28th in isolated power against righties. They're ranked 27th in team OPS against righties. I know Dylan Cease on the mound for the White Sox has been super sharp this year, but I think the value is all on the Red Sox in the spot. The Red Sox, we saw them sweep the Mariners this weekend. Their offense is starting to pick it up, especially, we knew the top of the lineup was strong, but the bottom of the lineup is also starting to show some promising signs. I think the value is all with the Red Sox here. I'm going to take Boston on the money line. Next up, we see the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Houston Astros. Cal Quantrill and Framber Valdez are your starters here. Now, Framber Valdez is an interesting starter as he is a real pitch-to-contact guy, but I actually do like him this season. 2.68 ERA. The biggest reason why Valdez has a lot of success is he forces a lot of ground balls, doesn't give up a lot of hard contact, and you can see that in his last 5 games, he's only given up 1 total home run, and that was against the Blue Jays back on May the 1st. So his last 3 starts, no home runs allowed. He's pitched deep into ball games because his pitch count doesn't really rise, but he's also earning some strikeouts lately. He had 7 Ks against the Rangers, 6 Ks against the Nationals, 7 Ks against the Tigers, and against the Guardians lineup that's ranked 29th in baseball in team OPS against lefties. I think Valdez pitches well here, and I do worry quite a bit about Cal Quantrill here. Right-handed pitcher have not really fared well against the Astros. They're ranked 4th in the league in team OPS against righties and number 1 in baseball in isolated power against righties. And Quantrill, not a guy that's going to earn a lot of strikeouts, only 5.44 Ks per 9. So his strikeout numbers are way down from last year. He was above 7 last season and above 8 the year before. And his walk numbers are also up this year, 3.27 walks per 9. So that 3.48 ERA looks good on paper, but he's got a 4.48 expected ERA and a 4.69 expected FIP. I think he's in trouble in this spot. I think the Guardians are as well. Give me the Astros on the run line. Next up, we see the Texas Rangers taking on the Los Angeles Angels. Dane Dunning and Noah Syndergaard are your starters. Now, at the beginning of the season, I mentioned that I wasn't really concerned about Noah Syndergaard's strikeout numbers plummeting a little bit because I figured he would get there as the season carried on. But we're already 30 innings through his season. He's still only at 6.6 Ks per 9. That's in the bottom 19th percentile in K rate, which does concern me quite a bit because he's also in the bottom 30th percentile in expected batting average and the bottom 31st percentile in expected ERA. And the Rangers have just been money as run line dogs this season, where they have a 20-10 record as run line underdogs this year. That's a 66.7% complete winning percentage. Dane Dunning just pitched against these Angels. He gave up 2 earned runs in 6 innings, and the Rangers won that ball game 6-5 in extra innings. So I think there's value with the Rangers as the run line dog, but I also think I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on the money line with Texas as well. Next up, we have the Kansas City Royals taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Jonathan Heasley and Zach Gallen are your projected starters, and this is another big-time pitching mismatch as Zach Gallen is on his A-game, 3-0 with a 1.14 ERA, 39 strikeouts in 39 and third innings this season. The walks haven't been an issue. The home runs haven't been an issue. I expect him to have another strong outing against a pretty weak Royals lineup. While on the other side, Jonathan Heasley, we haven't seen much from him this year, only 8 1/3 innings of work, but in those innings, he has struggled quite a bit. 4 earned runs allowed on 8 base hits, 7 walks, and only 2 strikeouts. So a 2-7 strikeout to walk ratio, that is not going to get it done. I don't care if it's against the weakest lineup in baseball, which the Diamondbacks have had a pretty weak lineup this year, but they're still 18th ranked in team OPS against righties, and I think they get to Heasley and the Royals in this one. Give me the Diamondbacks on the run line here. Try to get a better price with the home team. In our next game, we see the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the San Diego Padres. Corbin Burnes and Blake Snell on the mound for this one. Now, this game is tricky because it kind of depends on what Blake Snell we're going to see. Now, the total being set so low at 6.5 does make me think we're going to see the strong side of Blake Snell. You know, the beginning of his first start of the season, he did struggle a little bit. You know, had some walks allowed in the first few innings, gave up a home run as well. But I also saw some promising signs. The strikeout numbers were there for him. He was striking out a lot of batters in that one, and 12.27 Ks per 9 in his first outing, not bad at all. He's a former Cy Young pitcher, and I do think, we saw last season, his first half of the year with the Padres, not good. The second half, he was one of the best pitchers in the National League. So as time carries on, he's going to get sharper and sharper, I can tell you that. It just depends on which one we're going to see, but I do think we're going to see the better side of Snell here. We know Corbin Burnes can pitch. He's done it all season, and last year included 2.26 ERA this year, a 10.8 Ks per 9, 2.62 expected FIP. I think he has a strong outing against a Padres lineup that hasn't hit righties too well this year. I'm going to take the under in this spot. I'm a little worried to see what Blake Snell we're going to see, but I'm going to trust in him in this one. Give me the under. Next up, we see the Seattle Mariners hosting the Oakland Athletics. George Kirby and James Caprillion are your starters here. Now, I do think George Kirby does have a bright future in the majors, but I haven't really been impressed with him so far this season. He's in the bottom 3rd percentile in average exit velocity and the bottom 4th percentile in hard hit percentage, so he is very susceptible to giving up home runs. Bottom 7th percentile in slugging percentage as well. And it's not even just home runs and extra base hits, it's also just standard base hits and earned runs. Bottom 19th percentile in expected ERA, bottom 15th percentile in expected batting average. The list goes on. He has struggled quite a bit, and I know Caprillion has as well, but we're not having to lay that kind of price with Caprillion. We're getting good odds with the underdog here. Caprillion is the more experienced starter, and although the Mariners may have the better lineup, I think both of these bullpens have struggled quite a bit recently. And I think the value's on the Oakland A's here, so I'm going to take a shot with the underdog in this spot. Give me the A's on the money line. In our final game of the night, we see the New York Mets taking on the San Francisco Giants. Chris Bassett and Logan Webb are your starters. Now, Chris Bassett, he's got a 2.77 ERA. He's pitching really well for the Mets in the middle of the rotation. A great signing for them, and that's why they signed him to an extension as well. But I was a little bit concerned with how he pitched last time out against the Cardinals. I watched that game with the Mets and Cardinals, and Bassett went 6 1/3 innings, but he gave up 9 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 home runs, and he only had 3 strikeouts. He really just looked lost on the mound in that one. Had an 0-2 pitch to Paul Goldschmidt where he hung a slider right down the middle. A very bad pitch to give to one of the hotter hitters in baseball, in Goldschmidt, and he made him pay for an easy solo shot there. And I just worry about him in this spot against the Giants lineup that has done well against righties. They're in the top 10 in baseball in team OPS against righties. And they have a strong starter here in Logan Webb. The Giants have won 4 of Webb's last 5 starts on the mound, and that includes 2 games against the Cardinals, a tough team there. I think the Giants are favorites in this spot for a reason. And I'd like to see Chris Bassett give it one more time on the mound to see if he's going to sharpen up a little bit before I get on him in this spot. So I'm going to take the Giants here on the money line. And that's it. Those are the games for Tuesday, May 24th. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And don't forget to put your picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.